and I think we're excited that we have someone of Wamkele's vision, capability, and caliber driving the African Continental Free Trade Area. And it's the African Continental Free Trade Area that we're all committed to and we're all excited about, and we all are going to make sure that we work around the clock to make it happen. From our part as the Continental Business Network, on the E-Trade side, Africa PLC is going to be really supportive. Yesterday we had a long workshop with some of the trade finance banks on the blockchain trade finance part of the Africa PLC platform that is targeting to support small and medium-sized enterprises, governments procure on a crowd buying basis, export credit insurers be able to, co-finance and issue facilities, all within this integrated regional approach. So that's going to be really important. And then on the policy side, again, I think we've got a mix of collaborators and supporters, and we really look forward to this particular brain trust, if I can call it that, as well as a collaboration platform going away. And what I want to be able to do from this is take a lot of the things that we've heard today, consult and strategize with Wamkele and the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat, and then get some guidance about one or two or three or four things that we know we can actually prioritize and implement and take forward. So with that said, I want to bring the meeting to a close, but I will leave those closing remarks to our reason for being here, the African Continental Free Trade Area and its leadership, its leader, Wamkele. So I'd like to just give you the last words, Wamkele. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Hubert. It's really been very, very educational and very interesting for me to learn what the private sector is doing, and of course, what our partner organizations are doing, the WCO and ICC and so on. I have had the privilege of attending these high-level African Union meetings at closed sessions with the presidents, and one thing I can say is that I have seen a very, very positive difference in the last 5 years. I've seen political will, I've seen political commitment to get trade and commerce and to overcome market fragmentation, to overcome smallness of economies, and to really establish Africa as an attractive investment destination. So this is where I draw my sense of optimism from, the fact that at the level of heads of states, there is I would say, an unprecedented commitment to get this African Continental Free Trade Area, to get it going and to get it to be commercially meaningful, and to create opportunities for domestic investors and for foreign investors. The difference between us, of course, and developed countries is that in the midst of this pandemic, we do not have the fiscal space, the monetary policy space to provide these bailout packages, such as what the US has done, for example, $60 billion to the airline industry. We don't have that. What we do have, which is probably, in my view, our only tool at this point, maybe with the exception of a few countries, Nigeria, South Africa, Kenya, that have provided very modest stimulus packages. The point that was made earlier, and that is trade recovery. If we are able to move as quickly as possible when the conditions allow to implement the agreement, the AfCFTA, that is our stimulus package. That is our trade recovery. That is how trade recovery can contribute to improved numbers in terms of economic growth for Africa in the next 6 to 9 months. And so I think what we have been discussing today is a critical part of that. Digitization of trade is a very important part of how we get our agreement to function in a very efficient way, and also to address the issue that I raise about how trade can be a driver for economic growth in Africa. So I take a very optimistic view, even in this context of a negative environment. Our heads of states are very conscious of the challenges. Certainly I'm conscious of the challenges, but I do believe that this crisis presents an opportunity for us to be very, very innovative in how we implement this agreement. We have already, looking at the list of essential goods of the WCO, we have been working with the African Union Center for Disease Control to identify a list of products, essential goods, that can transit through corridors. We are establishing a trade corridor so that as borders are closed, these essential goods continue to move through the borders. And the last point I would make is that if you look at the trade facilitation agreement, and I was there in Bali in 2013, I negotiated it along with the DDG, Ambassador Aga. If you look at the trade facilitation agreement, you look also at the customs procedures, the transit and trade facilitation chapter of our agreement, you will see that we are very, very ambitious in terms of how we want trade facilitation, customs procedures, and transit of goods, in terms of how we want it to impact on trade efficiency and moving along goods across the borders. But what we need to do is to give further meaning to that by partnerships with yourselves, the World Customs Organization, and so on. So I'm very much looking forward to working with you to establish the enabling environment for digitization of trade, and I hope in future we can meet in person. So thank you again very much for inviting me.
Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.